Hi, my name is Oliver Guy. I'm Retail Industry Director for Software AG. I'm here at Innovation World in Las Vegas. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to be talking to Nikki Baird from Retail Systems Research, who is going to introduce herself and can you tell us a little bit more about some of the activities you get involved with, please?
Sure. My name is Nikki Baird. I'm a managing partner at Retail Systems Research, and my company focuses on market intelligence that guides retailers' technology investment decisions based off of the business challenges that they see. And I specialize a lot in the areas where retailers and customers engage, and that can be everything from store to e-commerce to marketing to supply chain and everything in between.
Super. Thanks, Nikki. So Nikki, you're here at Innovation World to talk about the concept of customer centricity, and what we're seeing is retailers embrace customer centricity and putting the customers really at the heart of everything they do. So, can you give us a few examples of the things that you're seeing in retailers that kind of exemplify that?
Yeah, I think the challenge in doing that is that retailers have historically been very product focused over time, and now that they're looking at wanting to be more customer focused, we've seen retailers who have been trying to do this since as early as 2003. Best Buy was probably one of the first retailers to really put the stake in the ground and kind of define the term for themselves, and we've seen a lot of retailers follow suit. It's really about putting the customer at the heart of the business instead of product.
So Nikki, you're here to talk at Innovation World about the concept of customer centricity, and it's something we're seeing many retailers talk about and embrace. But how, in terms of the customers that you work with or the retailers that you work with, how are you seeing that manifest itself?
Yeah, I think that for most retailers, it ends up being a really top-down initiative. It's really the executive team that says we need to be more customer-centric, and we need to really reorganize our whole company in order to focus on the customer. And it really is an entire reorganization of the company. This is historically a business that has only been worried about products and not really caring very much about who's buying those products. And I think that we've seen with the rise of the internet and with the rise of Walmart and Amazon and trying to differentiate against those kinds of competitors, that retailers have really turned to not product or price, but embracing the customer as their answer to those challenges.
Okay. So that's really interesting. One of the other big initiatives that we see retailers talking about today is the concept of omnichannel, and that to me is very much a customer-centric initiative, is it not? And
yeah.
So what's your perspective there in terms of the kind of the mismatch or the interrelationship between those two?
Yeah, I think that customer centricity and omnichannel are pretty much one and the same. I suppose you could be an omni-channel retailer without being explicitly customer-centric, but I think the challenge is that omni-channel is really about understanding how your customers want to engage with you and responding to that. So you certainly can't be a customer-centric retailer and not be omni-channel. That just isn't going to happen. So I guess, in a way, omni-channel is sort of a subset of customer centricity, but really to be successful, you need both.
Okay. So we recently did some research together about the Internet of Things and it's the impact of Internet of Things or IoT on retail. And in terms of that research that RSR carried out, what are your kind of big takeaways from that?
Yeah, there were two really big things that kind of surprised me coming out of that research. So the first was that retailers are really excited about IoT. Normally they're very reserved when it comes to new technologies, and certainly new technologies that they think are going to cost some money. Retailers are very conservative from that perspective, but they actually really embraced IoT and really expressed feeling that IoT was going to significantly change their businesses in the next 3 years, which was really surprising. The second thing that was surprising about that research was that they were focused not on cost savings or maintenance and repair kinds of things, which are a lot of the use cases that you often hear about with IoT, but they were really focused on the customer dimension and really trying to understand how they could use IoT to create differentiated customer experiences. And I was shocked. I expected it to be all about cost savings.
But pleased.
Yes, very happy, absolutely. Shocked in a good way.
Superb. So if we think about IoT and Internet of Things, I mean, type projects, how do you see those, particularly in the store? How do you see those manifesting themselves in the store?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about customer centricity and how does that impact the store, and the store as kind of this black box. We don't see anything about who goes in or comes out, just what they buy. And IoT is a real opportunity to address that black box and really open it up to understand customer behavior, even to a large degree to understand the inventory position of those stores, which historically is just a calculation, right? There very rarely is there a retailer who actually goes and counts the inventory in their store but once a year. And so there's a lot of opportunities for IoT to really sort of shine lights in dark places in stores and get a much better understanding of the interplay between customers and inventory in the store.
And one of the things that I see, Nikki, is retailers doing individual, very specific projects, which would fall under an IoT umbrella. I mean, what's your perspective about bringing those together? Because from my perspective, there is an element of synergy there. 1 + 1 = 2. If you 1 + 1 = 3, even, whereby you actually bring things together and actually get a lot more insight. What's your perspective there?
Yeah, I think that sort of reflects the maturity of the market right now. Certainly, we're seeing among retailers that there's a lot of little pockets of innovation and experimentation, and not necessarily anything that's really coordinating those things across the business, really thinking about it from a platform perspective, which really that's what IoT is. There's a lot of opportunity to think about it from an infrastructure and foundation perspective, and then how do you bring that to bear to solve all of these business problems. And retailers are tending to take this sort of small approach first, and then they're going to have to try to figure out how to consolidate it later. I think part of the challenge comes back to customer centricity, where if you don't have a single owner of the customer experience, then inventory-based projects are owned by supply chain or operations, and customer insight projects are owned by marketing, and those two certainly don't talk to each other. So the idea that maybe there is a customer experience executive who owns all of those pieces and sort of forces them to work together, that's how you're going to get to that more holistic play with IoT.
And I think that executive's got to be a real visionary as well.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Superb. So, Nikki, thank you very much indeed for talking to us today. It's been really, really interesting insights in terms of customer centricity, omnichannel, but also the Internet of Things. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.